Military machine development is one of the most challenging technological science ever. Most of our inventions and discoveries came from the Second World War. After all the bitter memories, yet we rely on it again. Yes, the nukes. Damn you humans. Nuclear programs are instead the necessary evil of peacekeeping in this world. The world has scooped to such lows that we rely on nukes to succumb to the fear of getting nuked. Yikes. Aircraft, on the other hand, are also pushed to the limits nowadays, ever since the two world wars. As much some of the finest aircraft have been produced. On the other hand, some were so bad that we try not to think about them too much. Well, the history of aviation has been littered with aircraft that failed to live up to expectations. Here are some of the 8 most serious aviation failures in the history of mankind. At number 1, we have the BLACKBURN BOTHA. This 2-engine torpedo bomber and reconnaissance aircraft first flew in 1938. Well, what happened to this plane? Well, the first problem was that the view from the crew compartment was so appalling that the aircraft was deemed useless as a recon plane. Next, it turned out it was dangerously underpowered. The extra weight from suddenly having to carry an extra crew member meant the plane would have struggled to carry its intended torpedo armament. At number 2, we have the CA-60 NOVAPLANO. In the 1920s, Italian plane maker Caproni designed the CA-60 NOVAPLANO to fly 100 passengers across the Atlantic. It must rank as one of the ugliest things to ever take to the air. It had no less than 9 wings, 3 sets of 3, and 8 engines. Whoa, what were the Italians even thinking? The cumbersome beast flew only once, from Italy's Lake Maggiore, and reached the dizzy height of 60 feet before crushing back down into the water. The pilot escaped unhurt, though the wrecked aircraft was destroyed in a fire after being dragged ashore. 9-wing planes have been conspicuously absent from aviation records books ever since. At number 3, we have the Douglas TBD Devastator. This American torpedo bomber of the United States Navy first flew in 1935 and entered service in 1937. At that point, it was the most advanced aircraft flying for the Navy. However, the greatest disadvantage was that it could only release its torpedo flying in a straight line whilst dawdling at 115 miles per hour, making it easy to shoot down. Number 4. The Heinkel He-162. In 1944, Nazi Germany was running out of planes, resources, and time. Hitler's genius solution to this problematic situation was to build Volksjägers, which means people's fighters. This plane was supposed to be built by common folks with plywood and glue, so that airplane factories only needed to produce the engine and thus save time. You did not need to be an engineer to figure out that letting untrained people build fighter jets out of glue and plywood wasn't such a good idea. Number 5. The Christmas Bullet. Yes, they actually named it the Christmas Bullet. Actually, it was designed by Dr. William Whitney Christmas, who was described by one aviation historian as the greatest charlatan to ever see his name associated with an airplane. With unsupported wings intended to flap like a bird's, it is widely regarded as the worst aircraft design in history. On its maiden flight, the wings peeled from the fuselage and the aircraft crashed. Even the construction materials that were used were not aircraft grade. Number 6. Convair F-102 Delta Dagger. Designed in the 1950s to shoot down Soviet bombers, the F-102 Delta Dagger was a pathetic excuse of an interceptor. Due to its engine's poor performance and aerodynamic design, the F-102 couldn't even break the sound barrier when it was supposed to fly at 1.5 times the speed of sound. Several major redesigns only resulted in minor improvements in performance, and in 1957 the Air Force got so sick of the countless changes to the F-102 that they basically asked for a new airplane. Number 7. YAKOVLEV Yak-32. Made out of jealousy by the Soviet Navy to counter the 1967's new Harrier jump jet of the Brits, so the YAKOVLEV design built their own VTOL plane. In an effort to reduce weight, designers removed the radar and reduced fuel capacity, leaving the Yak with a short range and pathetic combat capability. Number 8. BLACKBURN FIREBRAND. Heavy, bulky, and awfully inefficient, the FIREBRAND had a top speed of 340 miles per hour, despite having a 2,520 horsepower engine. In comparison with the P-51D Mustang, reached a top speed of 440 miles per hour with a 1,700 horsepower Merlin 60. The cockpit in the FIREBRAND was also placed too low and too far back, giving pilot very poor forward vision and essentially no vision during takeoff and landing. Test pilot Eric Brown, who test flew and assessed over 470 types of aircraft, ranked the FIREBRAND as the most unpleasant. Well, we have come to the end of the video. Nowadays, with the advancement of technology and developers working on simulation first before physically producing it, I think we won't get to see much blunders like in the past days. With all that having said, this is Mind Your Knowledge signing off. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.